All right, so I'm going to try to keep track of things. So welcome everyone. This is the Lori Holt Ropeable making class. I'm Diane Camo. I'm your instructor for today, and I just feel really honored that I was asked to do this. It's just a fun project, so please be sure to ask questions. I do have myself spotlighted, and so if you're able to, either just unmute and go ahead and interrupt me, or you can use the chat feature. I'll try to make sure that I get your questions answered during the meeting. If I somehow get too focused on what I'm showing you, I will try to make sure that I recap. If not on the Zoom, I will recap in the Facebook group so that everyone will have the answers they need. So today's lesson is, first of all, you've all pulled your rope out of your skein. I did see that one person, Helen, had a different skein and it was tucked in there and hiding. And so we ended up making a real fun mess out of her rope together. So I'm sorry about that, Helen, and I hope it's not too much of a challenge. The rope that I buy and carry is what I was using to demonstrate. So sorry about that. So I'll have it available, and I'll try to learn from you guys what kind of problems you might have had for pulling your rope. The next step was to do fray check. I have done a few videos to get ready to show you, and so I no longer have fray check at the end of my rope, so you'll see what happens when you don't do fray check. So that's how that will go. So tonight, what we want to do is really focus on how to get started. And this is the hardest part. I've seen a lot of people just try to start turning this. And so I want to share with you what made it easy for me. So I do a very short bend in the rope to begin with. I love to use magic pins, but any pin that you can easily get through the cotton rope will work. And I put a pin through that and allow it to just stick out a little bit from the other side so that I can just kind of push it in, and then I can attach the rope to that pin and squish the rope with my finger, between my finger and my thumb. Now I'm getting fray because I had to cut the rope off. I did another video for you that you will see out there on the website later this week. So I put one pin in like this, use it to turn the rope, and I'm turning. Now I've got a little tool. So, you know, with the pin in there, I've got a tool. I'm going to take a second pin and I'm going to put it in, crisscrossing it right straight through the center. So I have two. And again, I'm going to try to get this where you can see it. And I'm going to turn that rope. Again, I'm keeping it between my finger and my thumb, bringing the rope around. I am not pulling tight. So I think this is where sometimes people get that little pokey poo in the middle of their rope bowls and don't know what to do. And I think it's when they get started, they're yarning on this rope and stretching it. Just lay it down on the next round. And so I'm going to pull the pin from the other side, put it in this way. And now I've got two turns. And I'm just continuing around. I'm only going to do a few. So I'm going to step this up a little bit because y'all know how to do that. And again, I'm just pulling the pins out, sticking them back in so that they crisscross, and checking to make sure I'm flat. And I want to do this so that I have 3 or 4, about 3 rounds should be enough. I'll stop here, I think, in one more round. So let's just do one more round. I'm going to pull the pin out, stick it through here, and I'll pull this out and stick it through here. Okay, so and I'm going to say, does everybody see that? I'm assuming that you're seeing my rope. I do have some fray there that would not be there if I had left the fray check on there. So that's kind of what I wanted you to see. And notice the back, it looks like a little bit of a nest. And it won't look like that when you have fray check on it. It will be all nice and smooth in there. But when we stitch it, that'll go away. So then the next step, once you get here, is you're going to put your machine and do a cross in between your pins. So your pins make an X, and you're going to go and make an X in between those. Don't try to follow them. So I'm going to switch the camera to my machine. I have blue thread on my machine, and I'm just going to show you what that looks like with someone.
On zigzag or straight stitch?
This one is a straight stitch. So we're going to end, we're going to do a straight stitch right across the center. And what I do is I go very slowly. I like to start things out and not have to redo. And so I'm going to just right through the center. And I should tell you, I'm doing a 3.5 stitch length, and I'm doing a 2, so I'm sorry, I'm doing a 2.5 stitch length at this point.
Oh,
so and I'm just a 2.5. So it's kind of like a quilter's stitch. And I'm going to go straight across the center, being careful where those pins cross. When I get to the other side, I'm going to reverse it and just go straight back. And I'm going to position myself in the center. And I'm going to turn. And so that now my line that I just stitched, I think you can maybe see that. It goes across here. Let's see if I can give you a better view. Nope, maybe not. I think that's the best view I'm going to get right now. But I'll hold this up, and then I'm going to stitch forward. I'm going to stitch backward all the way to the other side, and then get myself back in the middle again, because that's where I want to start my zigzag. Okay, so I'm going to pull the pins out. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut so you can see what this looks like, but you don't have to cut at this point. I want to just show you what that looks like. So here's what I did. Okay, that's your center. So now what I'm going to do, and I'll use my little pointing stitch, I'm going to position so that I start doing a zigzag right about here. And this is where my channel is. So I'm going to start right about here, and I'm going to do this first channel, and I'm going to go around and around and around. Okay. Now I do it really slowly. I like to make sure that I turn frequently. So I am going to do a stitch length on this one. On the zigzag, it's going to be a 2, between a 1.8 and a 2.0 will get the job done in the beginning here. I'm aligning my needle. I know you can't see it, but I'm aligning my needle with the channel of the rope, and you'll be able to see that when I take it off the machine. So I'm just doing a very slow zigzag. I'm turning, just doing a couple of stitches, turning. The center is really hard. Really what you want to do is just pound it down. And notice I will show you what to do with this rope. So you really kind of want to get out of this, this spin, but I do wait until I get out a little ways, because it does make it a little bit easier. And if you'll notice, I just pulled my rope around. I pulled the whole circle around so that I have all the extra rope over here. And now I can safely sew that channel that's next. I'm going to stop here in a few minutes and show you what it looks like. Okay, I still have space to go. And once you get past this center, it gets pretty easy. Now I just swung it around again, and you'll be able to see that on the video that I do that every once in a while. And then you're going to get to where you have clear view. Now I'm using blue thread, so it looks a mess, but when you use thread that matches, it's going to be beautiful, and you're not going to see the mess.
You make a recommendation that we use an open toe foot?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Make a recommendation that we use an open toe foot so that we can see what we're doing.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm using a clear. Mine is clear.
yeah,
So it does have the channel to get the thread in is off to the left, and then I have a clear space where I can see. You really do want to see what you're doing. And I see we have a few people who have just come in, and we do have the recording on. I believe Colleen came in, and whoops. Helen, I think or Catherine, hello. Um, if you're able to mute yourself, I'm getting some feedback. Is everyone able to hear me okay?
Definitely got the echo going on.
So let's see. Colleen, I say hello and was wondering if I can mute you. And the same with Catherine, I'm getting feedback from you guys.
not me.
Okay, there we go. So if you can hear me, I have muted Catherine, welcome, and Colleen, I've muted you. So if you need to speak, you'll have to unmute yourselves. And we are recording. So, and no problems on being late. We started the recording, so you can go back and see where we've started from. So I am just coming out of the center. I'm going to do a quick reminder when we're doing the center and we're starting the zigzag. The tendency is to pull that rope really tight, and we don't want to do that. We really want to keep that pretty loose. When I'm in the center, the width that I was using of my zigzag was 3.5 and the length was 2.0. I'm switching it now to 4.0 width on the zigzag. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit bigger. And I just liked how that was. Now on our rope bowl, we're not going to see all this zigzag because we're going to put a piece of fabric there. And so what I'm doing, and I don't know if you can see this, but I'm basically holding the center down with my finger in my left finger, and then I'm guiding the rope. I'm not pulling it. I'm just guiding it with my finger to keep it snug, but to kind of lay it up against that center. And then when it looks like I'm going to go out and away from that channel, because you'll definitely see the crack in between the rope that isn't sewn and the rope base that is, then you'll just lift up your presser foot and turn your fabric slightly. I do like to try to do that when my needle's in the outside because it just makes it actually makes it look nice and rounded. Sorry, I'm sure you all heard that, and I am going to see if I can switch that off. Okay, I did. Okay. And my camera went away, but it will come back on momentarily. As you can see, I'm using a phone as one of my cameras, so I'm sorry about that. And again, just for those who have come in later, I'm going to do small clips of this where I won't have these interruptions and you can just watch the small videos. Okay, so I'm coming around, and once you get going, you can get a pretty good speed on it, but you're going to want to keep it flat. So the name of the game here is to make sure that you're not getting a bump in the middle and that your rope is coming together on the edge. So I'm going to pull it out of the machine here in just a couple of minutes for you to see. And I just got to tell you, I just love this. It's so simple. All right, I'm pulling my skein of rope. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and race forward as fast as I can. So the quality of the sound on this might not be good because the mic is right next door to the machine. But I want to get it to where we'll put the fabric on. So we want to do that. That was homework for everyone, to make a Lori Holt applique using her 4-inch circle ruler. And as you can see, look how big my rope bowl is getting. So it's going pretty quickly here. Now I can show you, let me just go over to the other camera. So I have taken the 4-inch circle and I have used a ruler to make a dividing line in half and then in half again. And then I turned it and did half and half again so that I have 8 wedges. Okay, that's going to help us with our placement of those little handles that everybody thought was so cute. So I wanted you to see how I prepared this. Now I'm going to take it back over to the machine and I want to see how I'm doing in size. And obviously I've got quite a bit more to go. So I've got, let me see, maybe one, actually I think one more full round. So let me zip through that. And let's see where we are. And there we are. So I am past and beyond where I needed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread and show you what I have. So here is what I have so far. Let me come over to the other camera and give you a close-up. That's how it looks. Okay, so where I've got, you can see in the center, and I'm not sure if you can see it really well right this second, but the end of my rope is here and my first channel starts here and it comes around, and that's how I stitched. So the inside looks a little kind of crazy sometime, but I want you to see how flat it is. There we go. And that's what you're shooting for. You're shooting for it to be really flat. Of course, if I could figure out where my camera is. So there you go. You want it to be nice and flat. And that's the look you're looking for. When you do it in matching thread, it's not going to show. So what I want to do is line up my circle with that X in the middle. And that's what I'm going to applique that on there. Now I asked you guys to do 2 of these circles because I thought there was a good possibility you want to do one on the back, but take a look at how nice the back looks. So I did pick up a couple of threads, so sorry about that, but the back looks really nice and there's no reason to, but if you had a little bit of a nest going on back there, you can take that second circle and applique that on at this time as well. So for today, just to keep the class timely, I'm going to line that up. And obviously I would not be using blue thread, but I'm going to use blue thread today so that you can see everything. And I'm just going to applique this right on the center of the bowl. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then the next step, and I'm going to start before just about where I'm gonna want to finish without catching this extra fabric. Okay, so you just want to go right along the edge. Oh, and of course I ran out of bobbin thread. So hold that.
Are you using the zigzag still, or?
Yes, I'm still using the zigzag. Yep. And you can make it smaller if you would like. You know, it depends on the look that you're going for. And these are all parts of the decisions you'll make. So once you do everything all in the same color thread and it looks good and everything's laying flat and you're not getting a lump in the middle, then you can get, you know, you can get crazy and do some fun stuff. So Let me get this back on. Now I've got blue thread on the bottom, so you'll be able to see how pretty it can be on the back side. There we go. Let me just get this started again. Now I'm using, I happen to be using embroidery thread right now just because I love the sheen. But you can use regular cotton thread. You can use Bottom Line by Superior, and that would be nice. You could use clear thread if you're concerned about having your fabric show up nice. Now I'm coming around and my rope is around. Oops, I'm so sorry. Forgot to switch cameras. I just finished appliquing this all on. I'll show you how I did that. And now I'm going to turn this around so I can come back to where my rope is attached. And I'm just going to go for it. I missed a spot here because I ran out, but there we go. Now, you don't stitch on these lines. We're just going to leave that I did with a gel pen. It's just going to help me draw those lines and know where to stop so I can get the other piece in. So I'm going to do a quick 2 rounds. Before I start showing you how to start curving the bowl up. So when I get over to here, I'm going to mark where I kind of want my first line to be. So I'm going to say that this is where I start and end on that line. And I'm marking that because I want the bowl to be even on both sides. I want to end the flower on the right, in the right direction. And this, by putting a pin here, I'm going to be able to do that and place my flower and have everything nice. So I'm a little picky that way. You don't have to be, but I'm a little picky that way. And again, I'm still nice and flat on this. Everything is very flat. So as soon as I get to that pin, then we'll talk about, well, how do you get the curve? All right, so I'm at that pin. And now what I want to do is start getting a curve. And the way to get to the curve is to bring your rope up. And you can also supplement by giving your rope a little bit of a tug as you're doing it, and it'll bring it in close. Okay, so I'm going to start by I'm going to do a pretty deep curve because I want this to be a shallow bowl. I'm not making really deep sides, but I want it to come up fast, and that's how I did this bowl. So let me show you. So if I put this bowl in here, basically what I did was I started tipping this bowl right up, just like that, the base of it, to get that tip. And so I did 2, 4, 6, 7 rounds of rope. Tonight, for demonstration purposes, I'll probably keep that short because you'll get bored watching me. And I can't fast forward on a Zoom. What's up with that? All right, so let me get my head in the game. And I'm holding, you can see how much I'm holding the bowl up, and I'm giving the rope a bit of a tug now. So now I'm holding onto the rope. Instead of just guiding it with my finger, I'm holding on to it and guiding it with my finger. And that's giving me the start of a curve. So I'll show it to you at the end of round 1. And I know what round 1 is because I've got my pin there, and that's helpful. So take a look at how much of a curve I have already in the bowl. So I'm going to do, I'll do another curve, and I'll stop doing curves when I think I've got enough to demonstrate those spaces, and hopefully not bore you too much. And again, I'll put a video out that shows just this part as well. And there are, and I'm telling you ladies, there's a ton of videos out there, and I've watched a gazillion of them and just sort of landed here for myself in making bowls. So as you go out there and look at bowls, you know, try some different things. There's never just one way, of course. So go out and explore and then share on the Facebook page what your bowls look like. I think that'll be really fun. Okay, I'm going to do one more round, and I think that'll be enough to be able to show you how to put the spacing in. And notice my bowl is hugging. I'm really hugging my machine up here to get a nice sharp curve. And I'm also pulling pretty heavily on the rope as well. All right, so now I'm going to cut my thread so you can see what my bowl looks like. And there's my bowl. Okay, let me put it under the other camera. There's my bowl. There's my start. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be following this, and I am going to insert a piece of fabric, or to keep it simple, you can just zigzag or skip zigzagging. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I actually want to start my first space right at this line right here. So I'm going to put a pin in there so that you can see what I'm doing. Whoops. So you can see what I'm doing. So I put a pin in here to mark it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zigzag just on this rope and not catch this. Okay. So to get that space in there, you're going to zigzag. I'm going to pull the rope aside. Hoping you can see that okay. I'm going to pull the rope aside. I'm zigzagging on just the one piece of rope. And then all I did very simply was I got my needle into the rope, and then I left a space that kind of wrapped around my foot. Let's see if I can show you that a little differently. Nope, I'm not going to be able to show you that. So I will see what I can do. I'm just leaving a gap. I'm going to leave a little gap, but you want them to be even. So I use the foot to kind of hit the rope up against there, and then bring the rope in. So I have a little bit of a gap, and then start zigzagging. Pull the pin, and I'm going to go to the next space. I'm going to zigzag to the next space. Separate the rope, zigzag to the next line, bring the rope back in, and continue that around the bowl. So you're at each line, you're either going to pull the rope away from the bowl or put the rope on the bowl. So I'm pulling away. And bringing it in. Pull it away. At this point, you could have gone ahead and stopped. Let me make sure of how many spaces I have. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's how many I want. So now when you have the 4 spaces, I think I might have done 8. I got a little overzealous, but this gives you the technique. Now what you're going to do on your next round, I still want the bowl to fold. So I'm going to keep the rope right tight against the other rope. Oops. And I should be able to pull this off, and you'll be able to see what we did. and I'm back at the beginning. Okay, now I'm back at the beginning, and then here's what we have. Okay, so let me cut this off. Oops. All right, so this shows this shows 4 of the little handles, 1 on each side. Let me put that down a little. There we go. So I have kind of a square bowl today. You can never do the same thing twice. So that's one way to do it, by putting a big space there. On the original bowl, I did a small space. So I'm sorry about that. I can demo that now. And what I did was I also put the fabric in. So let me demo that part now, because I totally forgot. I've been doing so many of these projects, I forget what I'm doing here. The other way to do it was to put the fabric in from the back, from the front, and catch it in. You want the raw edge in the middle. So I'm going to put that fabric in there, and I'm going to stitch across that, and then go around to where I want the next space and put another piece of fabric in. Stitch that in so that it's all just loose and standing up. So let me do that real quick. So this bowl is going to be a little bit of a mess, and I promise you I will put a good video up that will show it for you. And you get to see how nervous I get when I do these classes, and I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to put that up and grab another piece of fabric. Try to get a pretty good example here for you so that you can see what's going on. Okay, so let me just cut that so you can see what I did. And of course, I didn't have the camera in correctly. So what I did was I went around and I placed a piece of fabric with the raw edge tucked under, and I pulled out the rope. So this is the way you want to do it. So then you would go all the way around the bowl again, bring your rope around here, and when you get to this side, you're going to tuck this end in, raw edge in, and tuck it between the rope, and that's how you're going to get that little loop that I got here. Okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Did I do a poor job of that demo?
No, it's cool. I get it.
You get it? Okay. So I'm trying to be as clear as I can. And of course, I'm trying to do it with, trying to keep the class length as small as I can. So anyway, let me go around the bowl real quick and come back and put this edge in so that you can see what that would look like. And I'll just do it over there on that one side. Whoops. Because I want to get to show you how to end and make the pretty flower and put the leaves in. So once you know how to make gaps and stick the fabric in, then you'll feel comfortable with doing any kind of design and marking your bowl however you would like. So I'm coming around, and I'm actually going to leave a little gap here, and I'm going to fold the raw edge in because I just don't like raw edges. You could just push it to the back and clip it off if you wanted to, but I just think I want to make sure it's a nice finished look. So I'm going to poke it in there. And then do the same thing here. Get that ready. And remember, when you're doing a loop, you're not sewing, you're only sewing on the lower rope. And then when you get to that fabric, you're putting it close to the rope. So here I'm just going to do something a little different, give you a different look. And we're going to grab 2 widths of rope. See what that looks like. Okay, so here's a little loop all by itself. And here's what the loops look like after you've sewn them in and you're doing double and triple rows. So let me go around and get to the other side of that. The big question will be, Diane, what did you do with that crazy bowl with blue thread? And I'm gonna have to pull my camera back because my bowl's getting big. And only a few loops here, there, and everywhere. So let me just come around. And then what I wanted to show you was I am picking up the fabric, the rope, and putting it over the fabric and really catching it, that other end in there. And then I'm zigzagging over that to really catch it good. And it will keep it in nice and firm. So here it's a little bit loose right here. So I'm going to catch it in when I bring that rope around. And you do that by just lifting up the rope, putting it on that fabric. I'm pressing together with my fingers, lining it up, and then stitching it. Pick it up, push it down, stitch it in. Okay, so now, how do you end the bowl? There's a lot of different ways to end your rope bowl. Some just end them, and they will take and cut the rope at a diagonal and they'll zigzag it in really tight. I really like the idea of having a little embellishment on either the inside or the outside of the bowl. And I saw that what people were doing was cutting a length of rope and turning it into the circle the size they want. And so I found out that when I used about 8 to 10 inches of rope, I got a pretty good size. I'm just going to go ahead and whack off my rope here. And what you're going to do is basically start the center all over again. So let me cut. I'm cutting my bowl off, and let's go to this camera. So I'm going to start making that center again and getting it to the size that I want. And that's where the pins are going to come in real handy, because you can keep turning this and keep it pinned and figure out where you want to, how you want that, what size you want. So you can kind of undo it and do it up again. So I'm just going to go around a few times. And what I'm doing is I'm doing this because I want to make sure that it is big enough. I have enough rope so it's big enough, but not too big. I don't want it gigantic. And I actually need to stitch this before I put it on the bowl. So I am going to go around, let's see, I went around 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 4 times. So basically I'm going to make this easy for myself, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put my flower, actually I'm going to make it 5, so I can put my flower right here. I'm going to place my flower there. Okay. So I've got all of this that I don't have sewn yet. What I want to do is tell myself, where do I want to sew this rope to my bowl before I start forming the flower? So I'm going to put a pin there, and that's where I'm going to sew to. Right here. Now what I'm going to do is undo this rope because on our flower, we covered it with fabric. So I want to get the fabric going. So I had you cut a 1.5 inch piece of fabric and press the hem over. What I also did was I folded the end. Let me make sure I've got the right one. I think this is the one that I want. So I folded the hem over. So when it's wrong side up, the hem, the folded edge is on my left. I folded the top over because I don't like, you know, to see the raw edges. And I'm going to tuck this end inside that rope. So here's what it looks like on the back. And I'm going to cover all that fray. And this is a good place for fray, for your fray. I'm going to wrap the end of that rope over. And I'm going to start wrapping the rope with the fabric. I'm going to stick a pin in there to hold the fabric for me. Don't pick your fingers either, because this is a good way to do that. And I'm going to bring the fabric around the rope, keeping the folded end over. I'm going to smooth out the rope, and I'm not going to twist the rope and wrap it like that. I'm actually going to bring the fabric around the rope because I don't want the rope to get twisted. When you're doing this at an angle, you are going to get some puckers under here. And when you bring that fabric over, you're just going to pull it taut over that and it'll smooth that out. So I can tell you that my folded edge is right here, and then it drops down and it's right here. And you can clip that along the way. But what you want to do is get a pretty good head start on wrapping that fabric around and keeping it pretty tight. You can use some clover clips. But to be honest with you, we're going to take this, and as soon as we get down a few turns, I'm going to stick another pin in to hold that fabric, whichever way is easy. And then I'm going to start rolling this into the shape. So I'm going to roll it to my right and use my pins. We're going to start this circle exactly the way we started the center. And you're going to keep it pressed between your fingers. Keep positioning your pins so that it's a help to you. And then keep wrapping that fabric around. You're going to take this over to the sewing machine, and you're going to stitch exactly the same way we did when we started the bowl. So we're going to do a straight stitch through the center and then perpendicular to that. And I am going to take a few shortcuts so that we can move quickly through this, but here we go. Let me just get this pin turned. So I think I have enough so that I can get a pretty good start on this flower. There we go. And then that's going to be the top. Whoops, that's going to be the top of my flower. So I turned it over. So I'm wrapping like this, and then I turned it over so that I could have the rope come out from the right side. I think I got that right. All right, so let's go to the sewing machine. I'm going to stick my bowl on the side. It's going to be in the way a little bit. Put myself back on the straight stitch, give myself a pretty good length. I'm going to go to 3. And I'm not going to be quite so picky about this one. I really just want to kind of get it going because I want it to pucker in the middle. So this is where I do want it to pucker because I wanted it to poof up a little. So I'm going to go ahead and get started doing the circle. I'm going to switch over to zigzag. go back to my settings. I'm doing a 4.0. In blue thread. I tell you, it's really quite something. And you may have to move that bowl around as you're doing your circle, just so you can keep it all straight. Let's see. Now I will say that if you wrap your fabric too heavy or too bulky, it will have an effect on how you're stitching, how your machine feels when it's going through that fabric and rope. But notice what I'm doing. I am just letting the needle hold the rope in place, and I'm getting a little head start on wrapping the fabric around. And after a while, you will get so that you can do that pretty easily. Now, let's see if you're seeing me okay. Can everybody see okay? Can you see what I'm doing okay? I did want to show you that the other end, when I finally get as much length of these 1.5 inch strips, the last one that I do, I put into a triangular shape again so that I don't have a raw edge when I'm at the end. So I'm just doing one strip for today, but what you would do to add a strip is you're just going to tuck it up to add a strip. You're going to take the raw edge and you're going to just tuck it right up in to the one in front of it and wrap it around. It'll be a little bit bulkier there, but it's not going to be a horrible bulk, okay? You'll be able to continue wrapping it. There you go. So that's how you would add another piece of fabric. So I hope you got that. I'll try to do a better close-up. I'm not going to add this second piece because it'll land in the wrong place for me, but my flower is going to be a little bit smaller than I anticipated. So we'll just go with it. Because you have fabric around your rope, what you're going to want to do is really watch where that fabric is and make sure that it gets tucked in nice into that channel. And once you do this yourself, you'll see that you can kind of manipulate your rope to be on top and push your fabric down. You can give it a little yank. You'll see that when you've got a good face-on view of your fabric. Okay, so now I've ended and I'm going to go around and give my flower one more little loop to tuck this end in. So I'm coming around and I'm going to place the rope over the top of that edge of the fabric, zigzag it in, just like we did when we were doing the center. There we go. Okay. And now what I can do is stitch it right into where we started. Do a little back stitch. And that put the flower where we needed it to be, but it's going in the opposite direction because what we want to do is flip it this way. We want to push that circle up. So now I'm taking the center and I'm giving it a little shape. And then we would take our leaves and we would tuck them in. And I made really bright leaves, didn't I, for the demo? What's up with that? And you would tuck them in there. You can stitch this down. It's really thick if you stitch it down. I would recommend that you do a little stitch of your leaf on your flower first. So I'm going to flip it over this way. And I'm going to just stitch it in place with a little zigzag. Like that. Let's see how it comes out. I would have taken a little more time positioning it. I might have used Sue Daily glue to glue it in place because, you know, we know Lori loves that Sue Daily glue. And then I would go ahead and finish shaping that. And then I would tack that final rope down on the handle so that it has the shape and everything is where I want it to be. So I'm just going to do a quick little zigzag right at the edge here. And it's really just a quick one because you want it to have dimension. And this is a really messy looking bowl, but I did it in lightning speed, right? So there's my bowl. Here's my little flower that's popped out. My little leaves that we did with that moldable batting. You can take your handles and bend them outward and bend them in. So the more handles you have, the more fluted the look. I'm laughing at myself. And then just give it a quick iron and a press. Okay, so now, what do you have for questions for me?
Diane, I thought you did a great job. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Oh, Kim, thank you. I was a little nervous.
No, I think you did great.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that my bowl is so messy looking, but what I plan to do, and I already started doing, was putting these sections. So doing the center, adding the fabric, doing the wrapping, the gaps. I'll show you a little bit more slowly, but just that part of it in a video, and I will post that up to supplement this video. And hopefully that will be helpful. But I do want you to be really comfortable about, you know, just messaging me and saying, hey, can you take a look? Am I doing it right? I mean, I want you to be successful. I can't wait to see your bowls.
Thank you.
I
That's
have a
great.
bowl. I'm tickled. I have a bowl.
Who does?
It's Lori.
Let's see.
I'm not showing yet,
You're not
but I have a
showing?
bowl and it's not wonky.
You have a bowl? Did you do it this class or did you do it before the class?
No, I worked along with you. Yes, I don't have it completed, but I have it up the sides. I got the sides turned up. So I'm on my way.
Oh, awesome.
I am so excited. That's awesome.
I think the
Wow, I
big
can't
thing
wait
is
for you
just
to-
is if you'll list like what your stitch settings were as you went around the bowl, that would be very helpful so that kind of feel like, okay, that's big enough. That's not big enough. That's not going to stick. Would be helpful.
I will do that. Perfect.
And how
That's
much
a great
of the,
suggestion.
okay, so how much of the 100 feet or whatever this amount of clothesline was, would you use for your bowl?
So I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that I made the bowl that I posted. So let me see if I can get this camera up and away a little bit. So let's see. I made, so on 100 foot, where am I? Wow, I can see everything. There we go. I made this bowl, which was the one that you all got excited about. I made this one. I made another bowl that was almost this big. I did this tonight, and I still have quite a bit of rope left. So I'm thinking you can get a really good sizable amount of bowls off of that 100-yard skein. Is that what you
Okay,
got? 100
that was,
or 100 foot,
Yeah.
100 feet?
Yeah. yeah, that was my question, was like,
You'll
how
get
many?
three.
Okay,
You're cutting up a little bit. Let me be quiet. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, we got a storm. We're getting a storm. But that was my question, was how many that you can potentially, and I know it's all size and preference, but at least it's not just one big bowl out of that big old, I mean, that'd be a huge bowl.
No.
No. I made a big bowl on my first one, and I still had enough to do this smaller bowl. I think I'm gonna have plenty for that smaller bowl and probably still have some left over.
Peggy,
Okay.
do you have your bowl close enough to measure like just across the diameter? Because you did make a big bowl.
I did. Yeah, pretty much as big. I can go get it, so give me just a sec.
Okay. So my bowl, the first bowl that I did is, let's see, it's 9 inches across, and then it has a depth of about 1.75 inches. So that was my second bowl on the skein. The first bowl was probably about 9 inches across, and it was a little deeper, and I didn't do anything fancy, but I did wrap fabric. I used Lori Holt's fabric. I mean, I love her oranges, and I just added a fabric wrap in, and then when that strip was ended, I'd do some regular, and then I'd stick another fabric wrap in and kind of skip it around, and it really was cute, and people got pretty excited about that and wanted to learn how to make the bowls. So Peggy jumped in on my second make. And yeah, let's see that one, Peggy. Let me see if I can switch to show you. Let's see.
It's about 14 inches.
Is it 14?
If
Oh my
flatten
gosh.
if I flatten it out, to measure it, like if I flatten out the bowl, it's about 14 inches.
Okay, show it again. I got you spotlighted. So see how she did her bowls. She wrapped some. She has it's Lori Holt fabric. Go figure. And then you did the little spaces. So you tried that
Yeah,
one before I actually showed you. So good job. And then what about at the end? How did you end it? So you did a loop. So there's an option for people. She just brought that rope around and tucked it in there and zigzagged it in and just made a little handle.
Yeah.
Anybody else got show and tell?
Okay, you can stop sharing my video because I don't like to see my face.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
All right.
Let me spotlight myself if I can. Let's see. Now that I know how to do it, I just finding it. So there you go. Let's see. What else can I tell you? One of the ladies who signed up for this class and didn't make it tonight showed me that she had gone ahead and started to do stuff, and she actually made a handbag, and she was not done her first roll, her first 100-foot roll. She did a whole handbag. So that was pretty. So I think the rope, you'll be able to get quite a bit out of your skein of rope. But I have never stopped to consider, how much I would make. I just feel like making them. So I do want to do some bowls with covers, and I've gone out there, and once you get going and you get hooked on this, you see how almost mindless it is. There's a little bit of planning. There's just a lot of different styles. You can get the edges to come up and, kind of come up and do like do a vase. There's people who've done vases. It's crazy out there what they've done, but and I really liked it. Did you guys like the moldable batting?
Yes, what is that?
Yeah, so let me see. I've got, my sister is upstairs. I'm going to put myself on mute for just a second. Sorry, I was calling to my sister. I made a Christmas tree, a standing Christmas tree with this moldable batting, and I fell absolutely in love with it. And that started me thinking about different things that I could do. So when I did this bowl, I said, oh, that's a pretty flower, but it's on the shelf. It's on the shelf in the kitchen. So my sister's trying to find the tree. I have a Christmas tree in my kitchen still, girls. That tells you a little
Colleen had asked,
about me.
go ahead.
I
Colleen
live
had
in-
asked a question
Oh,
about when you would add machine embroidery
yes,
to your bowl.
You would do your machine embroidery right about the time that we did the applique. No, the moldable batting one. Sorry, Kathy. You're so excited to show those things. I gotta show you something. She brought down something else.
I just said Christmas tree. Come on.
I gotta show you. Let's see if I can move a camera because she's so stinking cute. I just love it.
Hi, everyone.
So, let's see.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Let me turn this the right way. Oops.
You're
What's it?
upside down.
I know I'm upside down. All right, hang on. Let me do this way. All right. She wanted you to see what we had done for a class that we gave this weekend. So anybody who knows, oh gosh, let me see if I can turn this around so it's right. Let's see. Not happening for me. Let me use my phone. I can't get the camera to show the picture right for him, Kathy.
Aw,
Hang on,
shucks.
I know, it's crazy. Sorry. That's what I get for trying to move it.
What are you doing?
I know, I'm doing it upside down. It's like so upside down. Oh, I know what to do. Hang on, let me see if I can do it. Oh gosh, you guys, I'm sure you're just howling. It's getting there. There we go. All right, now we can show. Okay, so we did this. Our quilt shop it's a home-based quilt shop, and we sell fabrics mostly online. But we did a class for our guild, and our tagline is called A Quilter's Candy Land. And so we made candy. So this is a fat eighth of a yard. It's called our Quilter's Candy Cane. We made candy sticks, and we made the candy lollipops. So we have a bouquet of
Oh,
lollipops.
isn't that cute? Adorable.
We love our candy. So there you have that. And then of course, I think I may have shown you at the beginning our little pin cushions here. So
That's
can you see
adorable
that?
too. Yes, very cute.
I will post a link to that.
Show the
So
other one?
I did. And then because we couldn't really see a very good angle of it, this was my latest creation. I used flower pots and made a pin cushion the Lori Holt way.
With
So-
the bias.
with the bias already around it. And my magic pins, love those magic pins. They are so nice and long. Let me see if I can show you. See how long they are? They are nice and long and narrow, and they just slide in like glass to everything that you put in. It's just wonderful. So this is what you can do with moldable batting. So here's the Christmas tree that I made. Let me get in front of here. This is the Christmas tree that I made. When I did it, it felt like batting. It's just soft batting, and I did the Christmas shape. So here's the shape, and this is a pattern that we carry. So here's the shape, and you just, do 2 pieces of fabric, put that batting in, turn it, stitch around the outside, turn it right side out, and then you stitch it down. You'll do some quilting, free motion, and then you'll hit it with the flat iron. You sew all these layers together. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different trees that are all stacked up. And then you sew a seam right straight down the middle, and then you hit it with the steam, and you can get it to stand up. So if I put it over here, I think you'll be able to see it standing up. So let's bring it this way. And then I did the tree skirt as well. And again, that is nice and stiff, and it stands nicely on a tabletop. So that moldable batting, what that does is it responds to the heat of the flat iron and the steam. So you really want to hit the steam to it when you're using that. So that's how that would go. Let's see. Do I have any other questions? I wasn't even looking at the chat. Catherine, you hope yours is as messy. You're so cute. May I ask when we would do machine embroidery on the bowl? Okay, so on the bowl, right in the same spot. In fact, what I'll do is I will do machine embroidery on a bowl, and I will get that to you. Sorry, let's do this so I don't have 2 shots of myself. You can see how messy everything is. I'll do machine embroidery. How big is the machine that you're using for embroidery, Colleen? You would do it right through the fabric, and if you want, you would do it right through the center of the bowl. You don't need to have the fabric on it, but it will certainly show your embroidery more if you did a circle of fabric and then did your embroidery right through the rope on that, if you wanted to. Or you could take and do the embroidery on the fabric and then applique that fabric to the bowl if you didn't want to see the stitching underneath your bowl. Okay, because right now your bowl is going to look like that on the back. If you did embroidery, you're going to see potentially the top thread pull through, because in embroidery the bottom is looser tension. So did that answer your question? I can put I'll put my shop information in this class group. I wouldn't do it on the Lori Holt one, but I will post it in the class. Yes. What else? What else can I answer? Okay, and yes, Colleen, you got your answer. Did I miss anyone? Awesome. I just have enjoyed you girls tonight. Thank you. I can't wait to see what you post. Get working. I want to see. All right, I'm going to end the recording, and then I'll end the meeting afterwards. If you have comments or anything, I'll hang out for just a bit. Let me just turn the recording off.
Thank you for
And